Welcome to Unity Milwaukee podcast. I'm your host, Montreal Kane. What a transformational Tuesday it is. And as we prepare for this amazing day, you know I got to ask you what the word of the day is. Today's word is innovation. Innovation allows us to take things to the next level. It allows us to solve problems. It allows us to really just transform things that are not as though they need to be. So my word of the day is innovation, but it's not about me. It's Tuesday. You know what? I don't have any power, but I'm going to call it Tech Tuesday because we have an amazing guest here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to come into our neighborhood and just travel with us for a moment because we have some amazing people in our ecosystem. Today, we are with the queen of technology and equity, Miss Nadiyah Johnson. Y'all make some noise, man.
Hello, happy to be here.
How's it going?
Fantastic.
So what's your word of the day?
Man, my word of the day is equity.
Equity.
Yeah.
That's a good word. Now, you guys will find out later why equity is so important. But why is equity important to you?
Equity is important to me because coming up in the age of the internet, always wanting to understand how technology works, I found myself getting into the field and seeing that there was a huge lack of representation, a lack of inclusion, belonging, and equity, and that's what my work is all about now. So
absolutely.
That's why it is my word for the day.
I love it. Y'all give her a round of applause. Equity is what she lives, what she breathes, and it's what we all should expect. I remember seeing a graphic maybe 2 years ago, and it was these three folks trying to look over the fence. And it showed how at different levels and different boxes, there were different disadvantages. Mm-hmm. The person who was the tallest eventually had the lowest stoop. The person who was the smallest had the tallest stoop, and they said that was a representation of equity. In your opinion, how can Wisconsin be more equitable?
That's a great question. I think that the first step is just acknowledging what exists. I think that when there is a lack of acknowledgement, a lack of attention or amplification around the work of Black and brown people, specifically in this arena, technology, it suppresses the work. And so I think first just acknowledging and amplifying the work that's already here, and then for extremely resourced organizations to understand that each of us have a place. And sometimes, it's important to take a step back and allow for those who are closest to community, those who are closest to the problem, to actually spearhead the solutions. So I think that that's a critical piece when we talk about equity, is figuring out where we all fit as part of the solution, and for highly resourced or more powerful entities to sometimes take a step back and distribute the power where needed.
That's what's up. See,
that's equity to me.
Y'all don't know, but Nadiyah's a shero. And when you think about Queen Warriors, you think about, what's the movie that just came out?
Woman King. Oh
my God. This amazing shero has shaken up the ecosystem here in Wisconsin. But she's not just a hometown hero. She was called on by Vice President Kamala Harris to really get a better understanding of how we can move this nation forward. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, it was a really interesting and almost shocking experience, because I was sitting on my couch and I was sort of watching the whole inauguration process on TV. I watched Kamala raise her hand, Vice President Kamala raise her hand. And
on the first name basis now.
No. But it was, moments later where I was receiving a phone call from someone on her staff. I believe it was Vincent Evans, who actually participated in the ecosystem event here in Milwaukee earlier this year. And he just let me know that she was very interested in the work that we were doing here and wanted to connect and learn more. And so that was, a shock to me because what is happening? And how does she know who I am? And all of that stuff was just going through my head. But it all happened within a few days. I found myself having a virtual meeting with her and a couple of other stakeholders with similar interest. And it was just a really, really important experience for me, not just because of the conversation that we were having and the impact that we were looking to make from that call, but also it showed me that the work that we're doing with the Milky Way Tech Hub and developing Milwaukee's tech ecosystem, it's not limited to just the city of Milwaukee, and that the work, it has a far greater reach and scope. And it reminds me of what my mom says, where, local yokos look at the lake and think, oh, okay, well, it's a regular thing. But other folks who don't have access to such, something so precious, they come here and they're like, wow, I can't believe you guys have such a great view or, such great access. And I think that one of the things, and this ties back to what I was saying earlier, that we have to do as a city and a state is to work on appreciating what is here, right? Absolutely. Because it should not take the second highest office of the land to acknowledge the work before maybe a governor or an alderman or a senator here locally, right? So that's really what Wisconsin Tech Month is all about. It's just making sure that we are amplifying as many organizations as possible that are really contributing to developing our ecosystem and providing a nurturing platform to do so.
We need some red air horns, man. We do, 'cause that was one of those type of moments. It's so cool because you're really modest and you fight a fight that most people would be afraid to even take on, but that also puts you in the spotlight. And so you move in such an excellent way, and it's not just in Milky Way. You have your own for-profit business, and we're going to dig into that in the second half of the show. But tell us a little bit about the STEAM camp, STEAM and Dream, and Earn Your Leisure. You've been on the move.
Yeah. So Milky Way Tech Hub focuses on three main pillars, STEM education, workforce being one, entrepreneurship being the second, and community being the third. This year, I feel like we are starting to create a new pillar, a policy, but we can get to that later. But as it relates to our STEAM programming, we have a number of corporate members that support the programming, whether it be from the data science realm, introduction to computer programming, embedded systems. And I'm so grateful for our most significant corporate member, American Family, for being one of our first corporate members and supporting our STEAM and education workforce pillar. So we do have this program called STEAM and Dream that we kickstarted, I want to say, actually it was during the onset of the pandemic. So in 2020, April of 2020. And it was really just to address some of the things that we were observing as the youth were transitioning into e-learning. We wanted to fill some of the gaps that we were seeing, lack of devices, lack of internet access, and then curriculum in general. So I'm grateful to American Family and Connect Business Consulting for kickstarting that program that has now evolved into a national summit where we have been able to leverage the resources of American Family to pull in really incredible guests like Earn Your Leisure, you mentioned,
Absolutely.
or Jacob Lattimore, and a number of other sort of celebrity figures that help to push our mission that tech and STEAM is cool, it's fun, it's
Absolutely.
Innovative, it's creative, and more importantly, it's for Black and brown people, and so it's been definitely a labor of love, but to see how far it's come from passing out laptops in the Sherman Phoenix from the back of my trunk to now being able to connect with people who have such large platforms like Earn Your Leisure is just huge, and a testament to the work that we're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, I need some more applause or something. I'm like, in the studio audience here, it's like 3 people. But on the inside, it's 1 million. Are you guys proud? We have a hometown hero amongst our midst, and it's so important that we understand the treasures that are in our own backyard. They always talk about And biblically, it's not a church program. You know, the views and opinions are not those of the guest or host, but the Bible talks about a prophet has no honor in their own home. And when you selflessly put tequity, for lack of better words, shout out to who was that? United Way.
United Way, yeah.
Yeah, tequity.
They're a member of Milky Way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that it's very selfless because you're a connector too. Like you connect the right people. You're always in the right rooms. But I do have a question for you.
Sure.
How many hours do you sleep?
Yeah, not many lately, which I do not encourage.
Okay.
So I come from this period of time, like I don't know, like back in 2010 all the way up to like 2020. There's like this grind culture, hustle culture, sleep when I'm dead type culture, right? Grind, nonstop, and I've started to unlearn a little bit of that. Because I understand the importance now of protecting myself. That's and how necessary it is for me to be well in order for the rest of this to work. And so I've started to practice more of a philosophy of rest as a form of resistance.
I like that.
And I think that it is, we have to, as a people, I think, start to reframe rest. It is actually productive. And I think that, you know, past generations, you know, work, until you can't work no more, right? But I believe that there is a balance, a healthy balance that needs to be struck. So I definitely try to promote rest and self-care as much as possible.
Absolutely.
There are times where you know, it's not necessarily always feasible, especially when you've got 80 plus events across the state throughout 1 month. But even still, I have been practicing self-care, doing my best, and encourage others to do the same.
So I don't want to tire you.
Sure.
But can you tell us a little bit about Wisconsin Tech Month, Latinos in Tech, these any events?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to. You know, you said something earlier about fear and how, you know, we're kind of doing things and that other people might be afraid to do. But I would like to just come out and say is that we're doing things that we're also afraid to do.
Absolutely. Yes, we are.
And so here's the reality. Like I could pretend like it's not that is super easy or that all of this stuff comes naturally. I think that, you know, the stuff that we're doing with Wisconsin Tech Month, having statewide efforts, making big, bold statements and proclaiming months and you know, to be dedicated to technology and equity. These are things that absolutely give me anxiety.
Being truthful.
Yes, and I think that it's important to acknowledge that, you know, we're human and that we are going to do things that scare us, but you have to do it anyways.
Yes,
and that's really what the work is about, driving equity and liberation in this space. Is feeling whatever you need to feel and going forward anyway. So yeah. Those that are closest to me, I have an Equity and Tech Summit coming up October 18th in partnership with Mars Solutions Group. It's first of its kind for Milky Way Tech Hub because we have all free events, and it's the first time I've ever charging folks. It's scary for me, right? I'm up on the phone. It's time. But scared, you know, like, is this going to work out? You know, a little fearful, a little anxious, but the important piece is that we're doing it. Even though it's hard, we're doing it. Even though there are challenges, we're going to do it. And so with Wisconsin Tech Month, you know, we had our inaugural year last year, and we started, I want to say, late August, getting the ball rolling to pull off 40 events and to get Governor Evers to make the proclamation and to get people behind it. It was a scary space, right? To take on that venture, but we did it anyways. And so now, you know, even though there's a level of discomfort, which is something that I do encourage, right, for folks to get outside of their comfort zone, you know, I am confident that, this is something that we absolutely need to be doing, and that the work that's happening with Wisconsin Tech Month is so needed. And the fact that it's being led by Black and brown organizations, I cannot stress the importance of that enough, right? So Milky Way Tech Hub being a Black woman-led organization, Latinos in Tech, we brought them in this year as a co-host of Wisconsin Tech Month to show that unification, one, of the North Side and the South Side, but just the fact that, we're stronger together, and that there's a need for us to come together to drive this sort of change in our ecosystem. And so I like to think that Wisconsin Tech Month is one of those initiatives that's helping to sort of change the complexion of technology.
Listen, we're getting ready to go to a commercial break, but we have to listen to this song. Play Gotta Win for me, man. RB Vic, artist here in Wisconsin, has a lyric that says, we all get the same 24. You get out what you put in. I gotta win. And I'm sitting here just listening to how you've taken these intentional steps. And not only do you have the governor on board, but you just got the mayor on board too. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that before we go to commercial.
Yeah, so, well, I think that it's important to set the tone of the month. Last year, we kicked off Wisconsin Tech Month with Milwaukee Tech Advocacy Week, focusing in on civic technology and amplifying the voices of our communities across the state. And so this year, we were able to officially get Mayor Johnson to proclaim the first week of the month to be dedicated to Milwaukee Tech Advocacy, which is really important. And so we've had a number of events the first week that really helped to push policy and to amplify voices with Senator Tammy Baldwin, the meet and greet with Mayor Johnson, and Lobby Day being a few of the initiatives that we pushed for the first week. So we're grateful to have the backing of Mayor Johnson for this month.
Absolutely amazing. Listen, guys, I know you're energized. I know you turned up because we all get the same 24 hours, and clearly Nadiyah is maximizing 27. We'll be right back after these messages. We'll see you in a few.
Can I drink this?
Look in my eyes and see my story. Hand me the crown, receive the glory. I'm still young in the game, watching from floor seats. Bow in the presence of kings, this Black royalty.
Look in my eyes and see my story. Here go the crown, receive this glory.
Yeah.
Long time in the game, watching from floor seats. Yeah. Bow in the presence of kings, we Black royalty.
I'm still young in the game, watching from floor seats. Whole team getting treated just like royalty. I'm reaching out for the crown that was left for me. This is all thanks to the kings that came before me. First off, I thank the OGs for leaving legacy. You know that I'm young, so they always keep on testing me. When I was at my weakest, they thought they could get the best of me. That's when I kept on fighting until there was nothing left of me. I stay humble and look up, say thank you God for blessing me. See me cooking the pits and they asking for the recipe. Everything I do is for the whole MKE. I just wanna see all my people make it successfully. We gotta speak up for it matters, that's a quote by MLK. Listen up to our story, cause we got a lot to say. Make sure all my people treated like some kings, nothing less. Bring some people to the top and then I come back for the rest. Look in my eyes and see my story. Hand me the crown, receive the glory. I'm still young in the game, watching from floor seats. Bow in the presence of kings, this Black royalty.
Look in my eyes and see my story. Here go the crown, receive this glory. Long time in the game, watching from floor seats. Bow in the presence of kings, we Black royalty. Guard your mind with your life, they tryna break us. Look at my brothers, look in the mirror, I see greatness. This right here, known as the revolution, embrace it, hoping one day we all get a crown, it's so belated, yeah. And my brothers keep a trending topic round town. You either playing in the game or you can watch from out of bounds. See, you can play the fool, but I can never rock a crown. I can't rock a dunce cap, cause kings only rock crowns. Magician with the bars, I control them with these verbs. They told us power lies in numbers, but it's power in these words. Take knowledge out them pages, then I pin them in the verse. I teach soul economics, being broke is for the birds. Me and bro, 2 generations of Black royalty. Bro and I, 2 different lives, similar story, yeah. Me and bro, 2 different walks, but shared glory, yeah. You and me, brothers in arms, it's Black unity, let's get it.
Look in my eyes and see my story. Hand me the crown, receive the glory. I'm still young in the game, watching from floor seats. Bow in the presence of kings, this Black royalty.
Look in my eyes and see my story. Here go the crown, receive this glory. Long time in the game, watching from floor seats, bow in the presence of kings, we black royalty.
Hey listen, it's a pleasure to be a part of this project. The era of the thug, the hustler, and the criminal is dead. And the era of the king and black royalty is here. We want to spread this message all over the city of Milwaukee. All 196,940,400 square miles of this earth belongs to these young kings. Black royalty. We will do anything in our power to make sure that they rise to the top.
What do we want? What do we want? We don't get it. We don't get it. We don't get it. We don't get it. Don't arrest me, arrest the police. 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 Arrest the police. Arrest the police. It's not the police. It's not the police. Convict the police. Convict the police.
I know you guys are enjoying the show. I promised you it was going to be good. Did I lie? Find the lie. Make sure you like, share, and comment. Special thank you to the Running Rebels community organization for making this podcast possible. And, of course, cheers to be clear. Listen, the freshness of a can with the convenience of a bottle. I absolutely love it. We're back, and we're with our shero, Nadiyah Johnson. I think what's so cool is you guys got to hear about the philanthropic endeavors and the nonprofit organization and giving back to the community, just making STEAM important and understanding how young folks can find these different career paths. But before there was Milky Way, there was Jet Constellations. Hey, we're going to talk about it. Tell us about your business.
Yeah, Jet Constellation. So I started Jet late 2017. And it was really just me sort of seeing that there was a gap in product development here. And more individuals were coming up to me, recognizing that I had a background in computer science. And it's like, hey, I've got this idea, but I don't know how to bring it to life. And given my background, I was like, well, I do. So I launched Jet Constellations. Initially, it was a consulting firm.
Wow.
To help Black and brown folks to make some headway in this budding startup ecosystem in Milwaukee. And then it soon evolved into a custom software development firm where we build mobile applications and web apps.
Amazing.
So it's definitely still a wonderful contribution to the overall ecosystem, specifically the work that we do with our social impact arm, Milky Way Tech Hub.
That's amazing. And you guys just received some funding from JLH.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about that.
I'm like, we did? Yeah, so many things going on. So we did receive
24.
a grant, a $10,000 grant from the Drew and Lauren Holiday Fund. A big shout out to Drew and Lauren for being a great supporters of Milky Way Tech Hub and Black businesses here in the city of Milwaukee and throughout the entire country. What was interesting about this particular grant is that it was coupled with a program with Fund Black Founders. And so I was able to really expand my network with other individuals who are doing incredible work throughout the entire country. It all sort of culminated with Milky Way Tech Hub raising funds through a crowdfunding campaign on the Fund Black Founder network or platform. So we were able to raise, I think we reached about $30,000, which surpassed our first goal of $10,000. So I'm grateful, truly. And I learned so much about crowdfunding because that piece was way outside my comfort zone. Asking community for money is one thing to, come to it. Investors, but to tap community, it was just really amazing to see folks rally to help us to meet our goals. So I'm tremendously grateful to Drew and Lauren and all of the community of Milky Way Tech Hub.
That's amazing. So you guys are getting ready to do like some commercial space, renovate. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we, Obi Nwabuzer is the co-developer, a graduate of Acre, and we are building out a multi-purpose sort of a startup accelerator or incubator space for our ecosystem, a place where people can come to ideate, innovate, and to really thrive in whatever space they fit in technology. So right now we're working on our first phase with our contractor, and hoping that we can close things off fairly soon now with the new funding.
That's amazing. So not only do you have the nonprofit and the for-profit, I want to know, like, where did the vision of Milky Way and jet constellations come from? Tell us about your solar system. We talked about the ecosystem.
Yeah, that no one's ever asked me that question. That is so cute. A solar system. We have to start saying that. It is a solar system.
Absolutely.
Well, I think I just have always had a profound love of space. I am a huge nerd. Spend my time watching documentaries with my father on Albert Einstein and studying space-time and the theory of relativity. And so when it came time for me to name my company, I just wanted it to have a space theme. So that's why I came up with the name Jet Constellations. Obviously, constellations is speaking more to the stars, and jet black, like our universe. And then jet being kind of like this, symbol for acceleration for startups and ecosystems, right? But when I think of jet constellations, really what it means is, black stars, jet being black and constellations being stars. And so I like to think that the startups that come within our ecosystem are stars, are rock stars, and will kind of take the city to the next level. And then Milky Way, I think, there's that... it sounds like Milwaukee, but it didn't limit me to just Milwaukee. So I made the decision to not just call it like Milwaukee ecosystem, but wanted it to sort of take us to new levels. And so I have a dream that people, celebrities, will one day refer to Milwaukee as the Milky Way, kind of like they refer to New York as the Big Apple or Chicago as the Windy City, right? So what's going on in the Milky Way, right? So that's a big vision, but I think that part of really making change, driving equity and liberation for our people requires to have that level of vision, right? And to create ways for people to get excited about this topic. Technology hasn't always been super cool and has its own stereotypes, and so using space as a way to drive interest has been extremely beneficial.
When did you know you would soar? Like, it almost seems like your life is just lined up for a moment such as this. But, like, what were the intentional steps? I heard you say earlier, you and your dad, you watch these documentaries and things like that. Like, when did you know? Like, you know what? I got something on my hands here.
Well, it's interesting. So I remember speaking to a pastor, Pastor Brian. I can't think of his last name. McKee, yes, yeah, Pastor McKee. Thank you. Shout out to him. But I think I had him on my podcast, and he was telling me about how one way to find your purpose is to ask yourself, what angers you, which is surprising to me because, you wouldn't really think that, pastor would be like pointing at, anger and leveraging it. At least I didn't, but he was telling me that really can kind of tell you what you really care about. And one thing that really pissed me off is seeing how much money and how much possibility exists in the field of technology and how little Black and brown people had their hands in it. And so I think that, once I started to see different organizations coming together to shape this narrative that the city of Milwaukee was a tech hub, and I'd go to these events and be very suit and tie and white guy. I took issue with that because this is what they call, and I don't like the term minority, but they call it a minority majority city. And so how can we shape a narrative about a city without leaving or while leaving out the majority of the city as part of this plan? And so I think that it was kind of just seeing all of this that really sparked a fire in me that has not and cannot be put out.
I love that. One of the techs in the studio is playing Shaka Khan's rendition of Love You Better, and I remixed it after seeing Kanye West's Genius documentary on Netflix.
Okay.
As soon as
I haven't seen that yet.
It's amazing.
Is it?
I won't ruin it for you. I don't know what he's doing today.
Kanye's okay.
I don't know what he's doing right now. I'm not gonna go there. Kanye, we praying for you.
We praying for you, Kanye.
Straight up. But after I saw it, I made that song, and it just, you talked about the anger being the fuel, and how a lot of times we don't even look from within. Like, we know what to do, right? Like, we know what's that burning desire, what's that thing that keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's mental health. You know, and so understanding like how some of the pieces are unfolding. I'm privileged to have this conversation with you because I'm starting to see more. Obviously, I see a lot, but it's so important to stay in the good fight, because I know the work you're doing is going to piss some people off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If it hasn't already.
Oh, in a big way, it has.
Absolutely.
And I think, as the late great John Lewis said, it's called good trouble. Right? And so I find myself staying in a lot of good trouble, and I think honestly, it has now been an indicator that I'm doing the right thing. Like, when you receive such pushback and attack, I think it points to the fact that there's good work, right, that's happening. So yes, we have received quite a bit of pushback to this very moment today, even, and I think the important piece is just to persevere, right? But regularly we receive emails from white men saying that they cannot back Milky Way Tech Hub because it's divisive and it's pulling the ecosystem apart, and there's no sense in just focusing in on Black and brown people. And I we deal with it how we deal with it, but we don't stop.
It was my good brother Method Man that said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Listen, man, it's all about unity. It's all about unity. That's what we believe. When we get back, we're going to tell you a little bit more about some things you can expect to turn this city around. When you're from here and you understand the impact of being excluded for so many years, why not have our own club? Why not have a space where everybody's VIP and where everyone is welcome and innovation is at the center? Listen, you don't have to take my word for it. You heard it here today. We'll be right back after these messages.
I looked my brother in his eyes, told him we gon' make it to the top. Throw the money in the air, cause I love to see it drop. I'm a youngin' with a vision, I done seen a lot. You think we was picking, cause we always touching green a lot. Looking at the ops, tryna plot just to stop us. Love to see my people eat, greedy's not an option. Walking through the game, leaving footprints in the industry. Got a lot of fans and the kids looking up to me. And I grew accustomed to getting it. Looking at me and nothing about me is counterfeit. Yeah, later for being lazy, got tunnel vision of greatness. We legends up in the making, yeah. You determine how far you go, you get out what you put in. We all get the same 24. All I know is that you gotta win. Now I'm looking back, I laugh at the ones who doubted. Had to get down on my knuckles, yeah, I'm about it. And now I made it to the top, they wonder how I got it. It was meant to be, no one else could stop it. If I can do it, then I know you can. I took what I went through, it turned me to the man. Tell me if you need some drip, I got it on demand. The way that I did it turned the head into a fan. I looked my brother in his eyes, told him we gon' make it to the top. Throw the money in the air, cause I love to see it drop. I'm a youngin' with a vision, I done seen a lot. You think we was picking, cause we always touching green a lot. I'm the type to switch up situations, watch me beat the odds. I'm the type to pick up my team and then take them to the top. See me coming in and they know I'm so relentless. My plan is to never stop.
Stop reckless driving. Reckless, live more.
I wanna spoil you, show you I adore you. Anything you want inside this world, girl, it is yours, yeah. But tell me, is this what you want, baby? Make sure. Cause if it's not, I promise you going out the door. I wanna spoil you, show you I adore you. Anything you want inside this world, girl, it is yours, yeah. But tell me, is this what you want, baby? Make sure. Cause if it's not, I promise you going out the door, yeah, yeah. Grab you that Birkin bag, I'll fill your car with shopping bags. Got the black car going spin the max. We make a movie, no Cinemax. Tell the driver, park the Maybach. Yeah, 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 yeah. I walk out like a champion, took it off, now I'm back again. And I'm focused on my bag again. They want the drip, so I'm taxing them. And then I walk out like a champion, took it off, now I'm back again. And I'm focused on my bag again. They want the drip, so I'm taxing them, yeah. Look, I come with the drip, but the way I do it is so different. Running it up, thumb through a check until my fingers blistering. Took me a break, but now I'm back. I had to pick up the pen again. Now it is raps for all of these rappers who stay spitting that gibberish. That's facts. I'm taking off, get to the bag, then I stack in the vault. You think I'm a chef? How I'm dripping the sauce? I think I'm the best, so I flex like a boss. Yeah, yeah, I grind for the gang. We setting trends, yeah, we making change. Yeah, yeah, I ride with the gang. The way we drip, you might drown on the waves. Champion, took it off, now I'm back again. And I'm focused on my bag again. They want the drip, so I'm taxing them. And then I walk out like a champion. Took it off, now I'm back again. And I'm focused on my bag again. They want the drip, so I'm taxing them, yeah. I jumped over obstacles, more tribulations, so many they hated. Now I'm calling home like mama, we made it. Went out on the road, I'm on a vacation, no more living basic. We done counting money, just waiting to save it. I know I'm the best, I just love when y'all say it. Invest in the kid, you need alpha embedded. If I stick to the plan, I go down as the greatest. I wanna spoil you, show you I adore you. Anything you want inside this world, girl, it is yours, yeah. But tell me, is this what you want, baby? Make sure. Cause if it's not, I promise you going out the door. I wanna spoil you, show you I adore you. Anything you want inside this world, girl, it is yours, yeah. But tell me, is this what you want, baby? Make sure. Cause if it's not, I promise you going out the door, yeah, yeah. Grab you that Birkin bag, I'll fill your car with shopping bags. Got the black car going spin the max. We make a movie, no Cinemax. Tell the driver, park the Maybach at the...
And we're back. Listen, I told you the word today was innovation. That's what we do. We don't hate, we congratulate, and of course, we innovate. You got to make sure you stand on top of your toes because there are problems that are waiting to be solved, and not just in the ecosystem, in the solar system. Hey man, it's a Milky Way kind of day. It's a Tech Tuesday, and I'm back here hosting live, and I couldn't be more excited to have my sister Nadiyah with me. Now, you've heard about Milky Way. You've heard about jet constellations. But right now, I want you to know that if you can contact the governor and they show up, and you can contact the mayor and they show up, and you can contact the senators and they show up, and you can contact anybody and their mother and literally raise $30,000, why wouldn't we ask you how to help this city become a better place? Ms. Johnson, there's so much stuff going on in the city of Milwaukee, and we can't solve it all. But where can we start? How can we get in a better path, especially with our young people?
Yeah, I think that we have to become okay with doing something different. Okay? So what does Einstein say about insanity? Do you know?
Insanity is when you do the same thing and expect different results.
That's Einstein, brother Einstein. Okay? He said it. And I see us doing a lot of the same things and expecting different results. And so the word of the day is innovation. I think that it's time for us to really innovate, and that has to go past just having roundtables and discussions.
Facts.
It has to, and it has to go past putting dollars in the same hands. Because if we continue to do the same thing, we're going to continue to have the same results. So I think there needs to be a level of activation with dollars of organizations that, again, are closest to the problem. and the ones that understand what the solutions need to be. So we have Mira, we have Milky Way Tech Hub, we have a number of organizations that are on the ground, understand what to do, but are not nearly as resource as other organizations that find it to be okay with just having a conversation with executives. So it is way past time to start really, truly investing. And I'm not talking, $1,000, $10,000. I'm talking big money into the community's biggest players, which are the ones that, have boots on the ground. So I think that piece is important. I would like to see the Office of Violence Prevention work with organizations like Mira or Milky Way Tech Hub, and to find space in the department, whether it be committees, find budget to actually accelerate some of the programming that's being ran. And then I think we also, one thing that I learned from the Drew and Lauren Holiday program, they said success leaves clues. So we gotta look outside of the city of Milwaukee and see what's working, right? And then we need to figure out how to mimic that in a way where we are leveraging the best parts of Milwaukee to do so. It's not. I'm not going to pretend like there's some easy out of the box solution for what's going on in this city. Yesterday, I wanted to cry hearing that 12-year-old was shot up, or was it somewhere in Sherman Park, I think. But we cannot just sit on our hands and say, "Oh, that happened again." It's happening every weekend, right? So there has to be a level of urgency and activation that I have not seen yet. A Black woman-led tech hub. How can we leverage technology to address some of these issues, whether it be the shootings or the erratic driving? No one's approached Milky Way Tech Hub about a solution with funding or any sort of way to activate us, and that's sad to me, right? So I'm curious. I'll toss the question back to you, as founder of Mira. What would you like to see, especially in the wellness space?
The American Rescue Plan Act awarded the state of Wisconsin $2 billion, the city of Milwaukee $384 million, Milwaukee Public Schools $504 million, and Milwaukee County $183 million. I went to Tech High School, shout out to the Trojans, and we had something called TT Survey. Okay. So every 6 to 8 weeks, we got to learn a new trade. Mm-hmm. If it was robotics, welding, carpentry, graphic design, video production, carpentry, I mean, we did it all. They took that out. It was in 2005, Assembly Bill 250, the Cost Out for Quality Education, actually took out a lot of the different programming, the music programming. It's gone. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about these young folks, I mean, obviously we saw what Grand Theft Auto did to the culture. Now we got Fortnite, and we see what that's doing to the culture. You have these games that are programming in the wrong direction. We need to invest these dollars in programming. The children are still our future. The young folks are the next generation. So what if we took $504 million and just took a small percentage of that and said, okay, we got enough PPE supplies. How about we do a coding class? How about we put back in graphic design? How about we allocate some of these funds to say, in addition to really building up the next generation, we're going to start helping undo some of the trauma that they experience every day. We're going to create these health and wellness spaces. One of our cohort members from JLH, Johanna, is doing amazing things in yoga. What if we integrated like literally therapy into school? Yes. And I don't mean like a social worker. Yeah. I mean literally having advocates. Exactly. Give that teacher a couple extra hours. That teacher's a credible messenger.
Exactly. But that's what, to me, that's activating these organizations by putting them into the actual schools, right? And then the level of representation there too is huge, right? Imagine you being a part of MPS curriculum, folks seeing you, right? It took me a very long time before I got a Black teacher.
It makes a difference.
It makes a difference, right? So I think that's so very important.
Yeah, I shout out to NPS, man. I'm an NPS kid, but I took a run. You know, I got a chance to teach for 4 years at Marshall High School, and I remember seeing these young people. You know, the guy in the hallway that has enough credits to be a senior, but doesn't have anywhere to go and doesn't want to be marked as truant or loitering if he's outside of the school. What do? You know, we have young people who have time and they have talent. Now we need to take our treasures and put it back into them. So I think it would be huge for us to really do exactly as you said. Y'all heard it. I told y'all she was the Shiro, right? Shiro said invest in programming, you know, connect with these organizations and really make them a part of the solution. And shame on y'all. If y'all haven't hit up Milky Way, what are you doing? Like, there is so many successful benchmarks, track records of success, individuals that will rally and support. Listen, the 18th is coming up, and there's this equity in tech event. I'm going to ask Denzel, shout out to the Splash team, Legend, RB in the room. I want y'all to make this happen. I need you to find the Milky Way Tech and Equity event. If you type in Milky Way and Tech and the word equity on Eventbrite, you're going to find this event. Let's put it on the screen. Let's come out and have a conversation because there are some heavyweights in there. I saw Tim on there. We shared a stage at, I don't want to make it up. We were at the Pfizer Forum, but Tim is like a CEO of an organization, a major organization, and he's saying these are things that we can do from enterprise level to actually help change the trajectory for these young people. Yeah. These are things we can do from a faith-based level. These are things that we can do from a judiciary level. It's so many different facets in the solar system. I'm saying solar system. I'm not saying ecosystem no more. It's time for us to really put aside our political differences, our religious differences, and say, you know what? Enough is enough. Here are the players. Here's the pie. Let's divide it and conquer and make sure that these young people have something to look forward to. Because I wasn't introduced to STEAM until I was a grown man. And that's a shame, right? Yes. Yeah. And when you think about even some of the disparities that are out there and how you got Google saying, we don't have enough women in tech. We don't have this. You have a Black and brown ran organization from a woman of color that's actually saying, hey, we don't have all the solutions, but this solution right here, it's evidence-based research backed by science. What are we waiting on? You know, so we're at a space now where I think we can turn this world around. Yeah. That's why I'm behind you. Look.
Yes.
Get your Milky Way pen.
We appreciate your support too.
Absolutely, absolutely, fellas. Were we able to find anything? It's okay. You got it. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to the Splash team, man. Look, there is some information here. I won't put too much pressure on you, but the way AirDrop sets up, if somebody copy and paste this link and pins it inside of here, I might just jump out of my seat. So make sure you guys register, okay? Enough things have been done for free. During the pandemic, there were laptops along with nice leather bags that were given to young people at no cost. You could pull up to the Sherman Phoenix. You could get a laptop to make sure that your child not only had a hotspot, shout out to the people that made the hotspots happen, but you had a working computer. I was teaching during that time frame. I knew that some of those Google Chromebooks were not what's up. Like, they just weren't. And so not only did you provide hardware, there's different skills that's being developed. We're going to take a moment. Tell us about some of the pitch competitions you've been doing with the young people to develop businesses.
Yeah, well, and I think that's also part of the solution as well in terms of advancing the city of Milwaukee and focusing in on the youth is helping them to see that they have such incredible, brilliant ideas that are worthwhile investing in. And so we have what's called a Venture Capital Academy or a Teen Wealth Building Academy. And we've partnered with Rashawn Williams, a renowned investor. So it's been an honor to work with him. And over the last year, we have had cohorts in Atlanta, Chicago, and of course here in Milwaukee, where we're educating students not only how to be entrepreneurs and how to pitch to investors, but also what the venture capital space is like and what it entails, and helping them to understand that they have a role there as well, right?
Absolutely.
And so that it's a very, very empowering program, and it always brings tears to my eyes at the end where the students pitch their ideas, usually tech ideas, and we grant to the winners $1,000 or so. for pitching such wonderful ideas. So it's one of my favorite programs for sure.
I think one of the things that I love about the solar system of Milky Way is it wasn't just in Milwaukee. You know, you have students from all across the country. Mm-hmm. They're using Zoom the same way us adults are meeting too many times a week, but they're pitching over the internet. You have the classes in person. You're in Chicago. The beauty of what's taking place is that they're getting to experience Shark Tank without the sharks.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with this concept?
It's, I think that just recognizing that there is such a tremendous gap in venture capital to begin with, and understanding that we need to create a stronger appetite within our youth. And I think that that's really what helped spark the idea and wanting to support the youth here in Milwaukee and now nationally, and helping them to realize whatever ideas that they have, right? Absolutely. And so imagine being in the 6th grade and receiving $1,000 for your idea. It helps you to want more for yourself and want to actually bring your idea to life. And that's what I think is necessary, right, is to help to take the talents and the potential that our youth have and push them into a direction that supports and amplifies community.
Nadiyah, how can we support you? Where can we find you? Do you have a newsletter? Like, how can we sign up for one of these 80 events?
I would say the best way to get plugged in is to go to milkywaytechhub.com/register to become a member free of charge, no cost. And that way you can start to receive all of our emails regarding Wisconsin Tech Month. If you're interested in visiting or participating in one of the 80 events across the month of October, go to milkywaytechhub.com/Wisconsin Tech Month.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Listen, man, Nadiyah told you guys, and I'm going to reinforce this. You determine how far you go. You get out what you put in. We all get the same 24, but no matter what, we got to win. It's been a transformational Tuesday. I'm your host, Montreal. You're going to catch me throughout the rest of this month. Posting, because there's so many different things going on in the solar system, and you got to be a part of it. Look, if we can find new planets, stars, and moons, we can find you too. There's something that you were meant to do. Think about that anger. Go to that place and say, you know what? This really grinds my gears, and let's figure out a strategic way to be a part of the solution. It's been an amazing day. Shout out to Be Clear. Shout out to the Running Rebels. And shout out to Milky Way. I'm so happy and delighted to be in the solar system. My name is Montreal. It's been an amazing day. You guys take care. And remember, you got to win.